right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we are here to talk all about critical discourse analysis and LLM models. We do have a link for you to this slide deck if you are interested in following along with us. I'll paste that in the chat right now. Go next slide there, Monica. Perfect, thank you. All right, well, my name is Jeff Henniger. I'm a grade 5 teacher here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I'll let Monica tell you a little bit about herself.
Hi there, my name is Monica Gadsby. I'm the Tech Hub Coordinator in Seven Oaks School Division, and I come from Treaty 1 territory.
Yeah, and I would like to also begin by acknowledging that I'm presenting today from Mi'kma'ki, which is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. The treaties of peace and friendship cover this territory. We are all treaty people, and we did also just want to share this great resource. It is in the chat as well if you want to check this out. It's called native-land.ca. So it has a map of the globe, and you can look at different areas where you're from and otherwise to learn more about the native people of that land. And also there's a really cool AI tool for helping you to build personal land acknowledgements as well. So definitely worth checking out. All right, so we are coming to you today from Logix Academy. If you're unfamiliar with Logix, they have a plethora of things to support educators and even district-wide level things for people all over Canada. So they have places you can buy STEM products. They also offer PD and curriculum resources, sessions like this. So if you enjoyed today's session and you would like to see other things that we offer, the YouTube channel is loaded with things, and you can even also request some topics to be presented to your staff or your even in class to students. So definitely check out all the different things offered by logixacademy.com. And just to kind of follow along on what I was just saying there, some of the large partners that Logix work with are on your screen right now. So any support in Canada for those products, you can reach out directly to Logix to get that. Perfect, yeah. And I'm gonna post this and we'll share this at the end again because it's probably a good reminder there. I know in some places and districts, people need a certificate to show that they took part in a professional development. So if that is you, you can head to that bit.ly link or follow that QR code, fill in the form, and the folks at Logix will send you a digital copy of that form that you can pass in, that certificate. Perfect, and I'm going to pass it off to Monica. Really looking forward to getting into this topic with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like I mentioned earlier, my name is Monica Gadsby, and the focus for today we're going to be taking a look at critical discourse analysis, specifically in language learning models, and how we have to be taking a look at not only what's given to us at face value, but discussing the background work behind those language learning models, and we're going to be going into a deep dive of what that looks like. So today's plan is to be taking a look at what digital literacy is and critical literacy in this day and age, how literacy can be defined, and in this case, multimodal literacy, how literacy has multiple forms of meaning, transpositional grammar, and then how we can see how this transpositional grammar needs a function. And then we're going to take a look at how this is in terms of critical discourse analysis and how we can use that as a tool when looking at any of these systems. And so we want to take a look at first the shift from traditional to digital literacy. And what that looks like is taking a look at digital literacy being, our literacy is no longer just about following grammar and reproducing meaning. It has multi-literacies that recognize multiple languages, cultures, and perspectives. We have to recognize the constant dynamic and evolving change that the literacy is mean making, and it has changes across contexts, media, and different technologies. And it has that multimodal communication, and those include things like, which we'll see further on, is text, image, sound, space, and how those all work together in order to create a mean making example. And so when we're talking about digital literacy is critical literacy. It's not neutral. We know that reading and writing are not just technical skills. They shape power, culture, and social relations. Critical literacy from reading the world is reading the world, and this is from Paulo Freire, who is a Brazilian educator and a philosopher, and his work is best known for his influential work about pedagogy of the oppressed. He reminds us that reading the word is about unpacking myths and ideologies and systems that govern everyday life. Whose knowledge counts? This is one form of knowledge. So curriculum decisions determines whose history and cultures and voices become the official knowledge, which are often silenced. And then we're taking this form of action or access to action, where critical literacy goes beyond just comprehension. It equips learners to analyze, to critique, and transform social norms and power structures. And the last point here is also really informative of talking about material differences, that diversity is political. It is more than just access to knowledge. It is socioeconomic status, its location, its family background, and access to resources. It's what shapes literacy. And so what I want to talk about today is talking along the lines of how multimodal literacy and how do we define that. And so we look at this in two different dimensions. First, we're going to take a look at the diversity of learners, which entails the symbolic, embodied, and material differences, what we just heard of, and then how those diversity of learners interact with those multiple forms of meaning to create new meaning. And so when we take a look at those multiple forms, we take a look at those symbolic differences, and that includes things like language, culture, identity, and ways of knowing and being. Embodied differences take a look at age, race, gender, physical, and mental abilities. And the last one here is material differences, and that is socioeconomic status, location, family background, and access to these resources. And so it's important that when educators focus too much on those symbolic differences and embodied differences, they often overlook the material differences, which are those socioeconomic status, access to resource, and those living conditions. And so when we're trying to move towards an educational justice system, educational justice becomes narrow, and it centers mostly on identity politics rather than addressing deeper inequalities. And so the real challenge isn't just about diversity in who learners are, it's about those unequal material conditions that shape those opportunities and those outcomes as a result of it. So you also have the structures of the different means and modes. So it's not just text. Text can be two-dimensional. We're taking a look at ideas, letters. It occurs in medias like screen, pages, keyboards. This is the traditional stuff. And of course, in the digital era, all textual meaning has Unicode, which is the coding language behind it, making mathematics and computer code also a literacy. Image, we see that in generative AI can create images and textual prompts. 3D dimensional spaces. So example of this would be like the metaverse, surrounding movement spaces and architecture and landscape. Object, those are material physical objects. A body is the meaning acted through gestures, facial expressions, kinetics, demeanor, and fashion. So those things are revolving around for digital media and video for embodied meanings. Sound, audio representation, organized sequentially in time. And so we're talking about music, alerts, ambient sound. Those are all included in that. And the last form of meaning here is speech. And so conversations, speeches, verbal instructions, and that helps us create a different meaning in speech. When we combine these two together, it's a really interesting approach when we talk about those multiple forms of meaning. And I put this quote here: art is how we decorate space, and music is how we decorate time. And this quote is from Jean-Michel Basquiat, who is a renowned neo-expression artist from the 1980s. He rose to fame in the New York art scene. He talks about blending text and imagery to confront race, power, and identity. And he's a cultural icon who redefines contemporary art. And it just makes us reflect about how these two transpositions are used together in order to redefine and making a space. So putting that in context of art being a physical space, and music is a space of time. It redefines how we have these lived experiences. So mixing modes deepens meaning. In the digital era, multimodal communication is everywhere. So speech versus text, those are two different worlds. Speech happens in time. It's a flow of sound and patterns, where written text lives in physical space, words arranged visually on a page or a screen. So we have to move from the idea of moving speech to writing is a big shift. And which is why it's important that reading and writing are more complex than just sounding out words. So the key difference here is that there's a powerful learning experience that happens when text pairs with images and speech pairs with sound and movement. It becomes a transposition in meaning. And so I go to this slide here talking about transpositional grammar. It's now breaking that down. It's now spans in text, image, sound, space, and embodied action. And so this framework allows us to understand how that meaning moves across different modes. And rather staying locked in one form, it's about shifting and combining these forms to create new meaning. And in turn gives a richer communication, especially in today's digital world and multimodal world. And so what am I referring to? I'm talking about the references, who or what, the subject of the message, people, things, or ideas, who or what is being represented, which details help you recognize this subject, agency, what is happening, the action that takes place, think verbs, think movement and gestures. How do you know something is moving or changing? And the third here is structure. How does it fit? The way it's organized to make sense. Think about the layout, the sequence of the image or the text. How are parts of these arranged to create meaning? What pattern or connection do you notice as a result of it? Number 4 here is context. Where and when, the setting that shapes that meaning. Think time, place, and situation. So when, where does this take place? And how does a setting influence the message as a result of it? And the last one here is interest. Why does it matter? And this is what's important when we're talking about that critical discourse. The purpose behind it all. Think about goals, think about values, and think about the impact. Why was this created? What's the goal? Whose interests or perspectives are being served as a result of this? And so this is important because it helps us analyze why multimodal communication, how meaning shifts across different forms and functions. And so to break this down even further, you can see that. Okay, so you can break this down even further to talk about how form meets those functions in multimodal. And so this is a great diagram to kind of dissect the different meanings of forms and how to analyze things in a different way. And so when we're talking about form meets function, here is an ad that's a Nike ad. So win. Hit play here. And when before I hit play, I just want you to think about this in the background. Who or what is this about? Agency, the structure, the context, and the interest of why it matters.
You can't be demanding. You can't be relentless. You can't put yourself first. So, put yourself first. You can't be confident. So be confident. You can't challenge. So challenge. You can't dominate. So dominate. You can't flex. So flex. You can't fill a stadium. So fill that stadium. You can't be emotional. So be emotional. You can't take credit. You can't speak up. You can't be so ambitious. You can't break records. You can't have any fun. You can't make demands. You can't keep score. You can't stand out. Whatever you do, you can't win. So win.
So when we're talking about this, we can do this as an activity in a class. We can take a look at those mean-making agencies. So we'll talk about references. What is this about? Agency, who is acting in this case? Who are the actors? What is the message behind it? Who it holds us together? And so this ad centers on women athletes, talking about their fight against stereotypes, specifically in sports. That this brand highlights empowerment, resilience, and redefines expectations. And so when we're talking about structure, very short, there's a motivational tone behind this. You keep hearing that word, you can't win, so win, repeated throughout as a bold slogan. Some of the context and what is happening here, and then so that would just require some research, but take a look at this project or this commercial was released during Super Bowl, traditional male-dominated advertising space, so just think about that. A rise of women's sports, creating records, growing media coverage. And this was timed near International Women's Day, so it amplifies its relevance to what Nike is trying to deliver. And its interest, why does it matter? What purpose does it serve? And so the whole point of this, and it's interpretive to empower women's athletes, to challenge those gender norms, and position Nike as a champion of equality. And so it advocates for breaking barriers, And it also spreads, the whole point of this is strengthening also the Nike's brand identity and tapping into the growing market of women's sports. And so you can use this for commercials, you can use this in 3D spaces, you can use this in meme culture. All of these are relevant when we're talking about forms that meet those functions. And so here's just taking a look at another activity that we can do. You could get students to review their social media feeds, select 10 different examples, and save for class discussion analysis. And take a look at what this can look like with critical thinking, bringing cultural awareness, communication skills, and then also fostering responsible digital citizenship skills as well. And so here's an example. I just was on my newsfeed, just randomly clicking this, and then we do this together as an activity. So critical discourse analysis, when we're talking about this in the age of AI, I often refer to the work of James Paul Gee. He recently wrote a new article talking about the role of AI in talking about nurturing identity. So James Paul Gee, he's a prominent American scholar. His work is known for in literacy studies, sociolinguistics, and discourse analysis. He was also the founder of literacy studies, which when you talk about literacy as social and cultural practice rather than just a cognitive skill. So I look at his work as an affirming practice to what we're doing in the age of AI. He talks about the idea of fueling the fire, that real world learning thrives on passion and struggle and discovery, and not just in the rote skills that we have. Using this as a center for hope, that AI is a catalyst, that it can actually supercharge identity and growth by offering opportunities to new worlds, introducing learners to fresh domains and perspectives. It also gives an opportunity for students to build curiosity and create new opportunities at a low stake expectation, to be able to make mistakes and be able to explore new spaces. So as scientists, as poets, as innovators, without the fear of without that fear. And so the idea that there's constantly a partner for reflection and for growth where you can use this. And so it centers this on hope and opportunity, and to lead with curiosity. So some of his other insights he talks about is redefining literacy in the age of AI. He talks about the idea that it's a living social practice, that is not just a fixed skill, and how it changes the game. It marks a new chapter in meme making. And so when we talked about this earlier, about those multimodals and how they interact and it creates new meaning, it completely gives us an opportunity to create those new meanings, and not just being able to take things from what's given to us, but to be able to be creators instead of just taking in information. This gives us an opportunity for critical engagement, and it involves and fosters deep dialogue. So he warns us that authentic conversation skills are fading. And so that important imperative idea that we have to make AI more vital than ever is because we have to have those conversation skills. We have to keep the human and also be the human when using this technology. And then we have to stop moving beyond the fear of stop blaming AI for plagiarism and the shame game. We have to ask students why students are plagiarizing, and what that says about learning, and what that says about their learning environment. And so it shifts to just a way of thinking about this technology and this conversation. When we're talking about identity and learning, we're looking at an emotional journey shaped by these experiences and tastes, and how we can use this to elevate our learning experiences. And the shift from curiosity to identification. So he gives the example of him not being a gamer, and he's been saying the example that he's not a gamer, he's a gamer, and he changed his narrative to he is this. And he uses technology, how learning transforms who we are as a result of it. And so shifting that mindset and how this technology can help enhance that. So AI lets learners explore identities, as I said, talks about a safe space for struggle. So generative AI offers low-stake environments for curiosity, failure, and discovery. And it gives us a space to be able to inform our practices and allow that. And so we can also talk about dismal and dismay all day, but that doesn't require critical thinking, and it's given to us at default. And so we have to live in the age of hope, and I'm not trying to, and ways that we can use this for understanding the complexity of the world that we're living in. And so I look at this as an opportunity and a way to not just take things at face value, but to question everything, those narratives and those critical discourse. And so when we're looking at the reflections of critical discourse analysis, I took some key points from this article here. LLMs are not only tools that also have, like each of us, a value system. Where are these values? It's not just a tools. The tools are inherently to systems, and the systems have values, and those values shape making around us. And so I think about where those systems are inherently from, and the systems that we use, where those values are coming from, and take a look at us, who we are as Canadians, and who we define ourselves as our values, and how we're going to use this technology to question and critique who we want to be, and understanding how those values align or don't align with us. Discourse makes up the social geography society, so the more discourse you can recognize, the more you belong to, the more you know about society and history, the more you know about human condition. And so this is an ongoing conversation about, this is not just a tool, this is geopolitical as well. And so those conversations about discourses, we challenge and we critique this. And it lets us be more informed about society, history being an important part of what this is, who is shaping history, and who's reshaping and defining what is important and what is not. And the last point here I'll leave you here is a real education in the modern world should be an education in and around discourses as maps of how humans have experienced, made, changed, and contested the world we all live in. And so those are ongoing conversations and ongoing struggles of where we are, how we use discourse at the time. So I challenge us to talk about what is given to us at face value, and question what is given to us at face value. Because if we just leave it up to an AI system just giving us the answers, we're not being the critical thinker that we need to be in this world. And so his reflections empower learners for us to take this and challenge yourself and reimagine a world that we want to live in. And here are some of my citations.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Monica. I did pose in the chat if there was any questions from the audience, and nothing has come in there. So maybe we can just give people a few more seconds just in case somebody want to pop in with things that are on their mind or connections to their practice. As you were sharing, I guess I was thinking about my role as a fifth grader, and I do use some AI with my students, but also I think you bring up some really great points about making sure they understand that how that's created and what those voices are behind the AI, like where those data sets came from, and those types of conversations I think are still valuable even for like the 10-year-olds that are in my classroom. I don't know if you have any anecdotes to share about the classrooms you've worked in or those kinds of conversations that you've had with students.
So the starting point would just even take a look at language. Like it's harder to detect with text, but it's way easier to do with visuals. So just taking a look at what an automated prompt would be for a visual of like what it means to be Canadian, and you'd get a stereotypical answer. And so those doesn't represent everybody. It connects to a it often is a reflection of the world that we live in, but it also is stereotypes that exist. And so just question and challenge what those stereotypes look like, as AI is a reflection of the world that we're living in. It's a mirror, but it not only is a mirror to some of the world we're living in, it amplifies those biases, and as a result of it, the way that we take a look and interpret the world, because through artificial intelligence, is coded, and it's coded with biases, and it codes and questions reality, and really reshapes reality that we're living in if we don't challenge it and if we don't critique it. And so the ability to be critical thinkers when we're using this technology is imperative, because we can't take things at face value anymore. When we take a look at applications like Google, for example, and we see that Google's, just the way that Google is transformed and how it gives us an AI answer, well, we all now have a responsibility to take a look at what is being presented to us and then being able to disseminate that information, right? Where is that resource coming from? whose resource, like where's the source coming from? Also, whose voice is being heard, whose voice is not being heard, whose voice is being silenced, challenge the power, challenge that privilege in the context of everything that we do. And that's an everyday conversation. And I'm not asking kids to use this technology in elementary, but it is important to talk about the humanities piece, the automation piece, and what that looks like, because we are shaping the world that we are living in as a result of this. And kids need to be part of that discussion, regardless if they are on to this technology or not. They are surrounded by it. And so that's my my request. We have a responsibility in the education sector to be having those conversations of values and systems and who we want to be as Canadians.
Yeah, you made the point about how what AI does can perpetuate an idea and kind of change the culture or like influence it. I remember reading something about like there's people's big complaint about ChatGPT's writing can be like about the M dashes, like that kind of thing, and how more people have started using that in their own writing. Like it has like the way, because the AI is writing that way, it's creating it so that people are also writing it that way. So it's influencing how people are communicating and writing as well. So I thought that was an interesting article. But all right, so I will share Monica's slide link again here for anybody who would like to follow along or reference this later. So that is in the chat. Do you want to go to the next one, Monica?
Yes.
Perfect. So once again, if you would like a certificate for this event that you took part in, just fill in the form at this link here in the chat now, or just scan that QR code, and the folks at Logix will send you your certificate.
I also want to apologize in the beginning. I didn't have my slide up, but I did want to recognize that I had a shortcoming on that land acknowledgement. But one thing to talk about this critical discourse analysis is including Indigenous voices at this as we're moving forward with these conversations, Indigenous AI protocols, and for them to have a space at the table to have these conversations. And so when I talk about acknowledging who I am and my relationship to that land, I gather on Treaty 1 territory, with the treaty territories of the ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Inuit, Dakota, Inuit, Desolate and Dakota Nations. We acknowledge Manitoba is on the homeland of the Red River Métis, and that we are on the ancestral lands of the Inuit. And so we work and commit in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. And so as we're moving forward with talking about truth and reconciliation and critical discourse, we have to have those voices included in these conversations, as we are shaping not only we're only shaping one form of language and knowledge, but we are shaping the world, and we have to have their voices included in this. So I apologize about that earlier, but I do want to include that in there, as well as being an imperative how we're moving forward with this technology.
Thank you.
All right.
And I think we got a couple more there. Yeah, so if you are able to just spend a few minutes filling out this feedback form, it really helps us as a team get better at providing material and sessions that meet your needs in your area. So please do just take a moment to fill in that feedback form for us. And we also just want to share how Hour of Code and Hour of AI is coming up. What are we, about 2 weeks away? It's early December. So Logix has a whole host of different things for schools to take part in. So in addition to teacher PD in the evenings, and we're also offering what we call co-taught lessons. So that means that you can pop in and join in with your students during the day to try out some new tools or learn some things about AI and coding. So definitely worth checking out the different offerings that are posted at that link. All right. Well, thank you so much, Monica. This was fantastic. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing with us today. Thanks, everybody.